Arctic Star Exploration, operated by a team of proven mine finders, is focused on diamonds in Finland and the Northwest Territories of Canada. Work programs are underway in Finland and Canada. Arctic Star trades on the TSX Venture Exchange symbol ADD, on Frankfurt symbol 82A1, and the OTCQB symbol ASDZF. Please visit our website arcticstar.ca or call us at 604-689-1799.
Welcome to the Goddard Report. Comments made on the Goddard Report and TalkDigitalNetwork.com are an expression of opinion only. Here is Jim Goddard.
My guest is Jordan Bateman. He's the Vice President of Communications for the Independent Contractors and Business Association, their website icba.ca. Welcome back to the show, Jordan.
Thanks for having me.
Jordan, some big smiles around your office today. Apparently you cleaned up at the awards show. What awards and what did you get?
Yeah, forget the Oscars, Jim. Here's the real big awards that are out there. They're called the Reed Awards, and they're handed out by Campaigns and Elections magazine in the United States. Quite a well-known set of awards for political advocacy and campaigning. And they have, different categories. They have overall categories and then American, Latin America, and Canadian categories. Well, ICBA, we're proud to say we actually won 6 Reed Awards this year for our advocacy work. 5 of them around our big ass, Get Canada's Big Ass Moving web video and campaign there, including one for overall best web video, which was up against all of the American competition, which, as you can imagine, is quite fierce, given it's a multi-billion-dollar industry in the States. And then we won a major award as well, a Reed Award, for North American Trade Association of the Year, which is especially gratifying for all of us here, given the hard work that we do on behalf of our members, our insurance company, our training, and then our advocacy work. We're pretty chuffed, as the Brits say, about this big win.
Well, Jordan, you're more than just a PR agency for contractors and business. You also do a lot of training, don't you?
Yeah, exactly. So we have about 2,100 members and clients, and we train directly about nearly 4,000 people a year. We also are the single largest sponsor of construction apprentices in the province of British Columbia. We have about 1,100 on the books right now. Young men and women who are learning the trade, doing their apprenticeship through the Industry Training Authority, and who we sponsor. That's on top of, frankly, thousands of, tens of thousands of training hours that our companies do individually, and on top of thousands of other apprentices that some of our companies sponsor directly. So, yeah, we're very proud of our training side. We also have a benefits company, that helps generate revenue for things like our advocacy work, but more importantly, takes care of the workers who work for these construction companies, making sure that they have money set aside for retirement and that they have the best health and dental benefits possible. We're really a big organization. People see the advocacy stuff a lot, thanks to the work of Phil Hochstein, who was our president for 30 years, our new president Chris Gardner, myself. But that is actually just a little snapshot of the other work that's going on at ICBA.
Is there any way to let more people know that you're more than just a public relations outlet, that you do a lot of training?
Yeah, we're working on that right now. Actually, I was talking with people this morning about producing some essentially a magazine on our training output, some training networks that we're participating in. This is kind of the crux of the fight we're having with the Building Trades Union and the NDP government on what they call community benefit agreements, but which are actually old-fashioned project labor agreements, where the BC government has sole-sourced labor from construction unions that only represent 15% of the workforce in this province, rather than going to the 85% of construction workers who have organized themselves in a different way. So, we're trying to push back, tell that story on training, tell that story on apprenticeships, and tell the story of our wages and benefits. We'll keep on pushing that forward.
Jordan, there might have been a time that was the only way to assure people were paid decent wages. That's not the case anymore, is it?
No, in fact, one of the big complaints we're hearing about these project labor agreements is that, people, the unions would say, look, if you want to work on those projects, it's very simple. You just join this union and you'll be paid according to the scale. The problem is a lot of our open shop companies actually pay more than the unions do because they'll pay their best workers top dollar in order to keep them. Like, the labor market is so competitive right now that, think of it like free agency in the NHL. You've got to pay top dollar in free agency in order to keep your stars. So, Mark Stone signs a, $10 million a season deal with the Las Vegas Golden Knights. If he was forced to take a, union wage, maybe he'd be capped at, $1 million. So the unions kind of, bring some people up, but they also bring a lot of people down to their level. That's not great. It also, your entire workforce is beholden to the unions as far as how they're deployed. That's not great for companies or for teams who work together frequently, who have found efficiencies, who understand how each other works safely. There are a lot of flaws in this project labor agreement idea.
We'll have more with Jordan Bateman right after this.
Bateman Resources Limited is a gold exploration company with significant projects in British Columbia, Saskatchewan, and the Yukon. Trading on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol ABN, and the pink symbol ABN-AF. Surrounded by world-class gold deposits and mines, Bateman's 23,000 hectares Forest Kerr Gold Project is located in the heart of the Golden Triangle in northwestern BC. For more information, visit us at batemanresources.com.
Media recognition from Bloomberg, Reuters, recycling trade publications. Patented process for 100% recovery of critical metals, including cobalt, lithium, nickel, manganese, aluminum. American Manganese is focused on recycling lithium-ion batteries for electric vehicles. American Manganese trades on the TSX Venture, AMY, the US, AMYZF, and Frankfurt 2AM. For more information, visit AmericanManganeseInc.com or phone me, Larry Ray, at 778-574-4444.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Jordan Bateman. Jordan, the BC government just put out their NDP budget. What was in it that you liked and what didn't you like?
Well, the budget was balanced, which was good, and they also didn't, other than the carbon tax, they didn't continue driving new tax increases this year. I guess even the NDP have a limit as to how much they're willing to do year over year. Last year they added $5.5 billion in tax increases, several new tax classifications. I think they realized that a lot of it was pretty poor public policy, and they want to see how it's going to play out over the next couple of years. The big concern I had in that budget, though, was buried in the appendices. And, part of what a budget does is they look through dozens and dozens of economic indicators to try to project where the BC economy is headed. Because obviously growth is a part of the budget that, they have to be able to talk about and figure out how much BC is going to grow or not in order to see how much money they have to spend. Buried in the housing start stat was something that should certainly gives our construction companies pause, but should give every British Columbian pause. The NDP predict that housing starts are going to fall by more than a third over these 2 years, from last year to 2 years forward. This is very problematic. This is kind of the canary in the coal mine, as Vaughn Palmer called it. We call it the warning light on your dashboard. The BC economy has been going great guns for about 9 years now. Winter is coming, Jim, and the economic downturn is bound to come at some point here. And these housing starts, we believe, are kind of the first signal that we're approaching that moment. So, yeah, if you're out there and you're looking to invest in British Columbia, be very careful. Obviously we want to see your investment come here, but at the same time, we don't blame you if you're having second thoughts based on where the economy is headed. You just can't continue to tax small and medium businesses the way the NDP have done and not expect there to be some negative feedback to it.
Well, I saw a story about a long-time 30-year chocolate shop, I think, on Robson Street in downtown Vancouver, where they're closing because their taxes are just too high. The property was sold, assessed at $76 million. Well, it's a two-story building right now, but that little chocolate shop has to pay taxes on $76 million worth of property. Now, don't they have to change the laws to take into account that perhaps a little one-story store in a two-story building needs to get a break?
Yeah, I mean, they should be looking at that. For a long time, property taxes have been structured in this way where it's like best and highest use, that's what you get taxed on. The idea there would force landowners to use their property for the best and highest use. The problem is they've now had this unintended consequence of actually chasing small businesses out of Vancouver. You know, it's not just older companies either. Like, tax increases affect young companies. I was talking with Val Litwin over the BC Chamber of Commerce today. He mentioned a juice company that had grown to 6 shops and was really going gangbusters. And, you know, they've been adding a shop a year, but now they're going to stop because the employer health tax has taken such a huge bite into their bottom line that instead of opening a new shop with more jobs and you know, kind of increasing the brand, they're holding back and waiting to see if they can, you know, kind of survive this new tax. So these are big problems. Government policy matters. That's why we're so loud in our advocacy about it. We need to make sure that we are, you know, trying to create a tax environment that is fair. You know, obviously you want to be able to fund public services that are important, but at the same time, you can't break the back of small business in order to do it.
With the health employers tax, small business, I'm sure the government thinks that it won't be having much of an impact. But again, you said a company is now scared to expand because if they go over a certain limit, and what is that limit? And is there any way for a company to offset that?
Yeah, that's one problem. We've also heard from construction companies that we heard from an engineering company that, you know, this is a huge hit to their bottom line, and they're basically taking it in thirds. So 1/3 of their employer health tax bill will be paid for by the company owners reducing their profit. 1/3 will be paid by the employee profit sharing group, having it come out of that, which means less profit sharing for employees. And 1/3 is going to be paid for by customers paying more, which of course then just, you know, continues to make housing more unaffordable because they work in the housing sector. We've heard from a company on Vancouver Island, construction company. They've had a very lucrative profit sharing arrangement with their staff for a long time. And this year they've told staff to prepare for that number to be zero. That, you know, the employer health tax has just driven up their bottom line too much. These are real companies. If you talk to most company owners of, you know, more than 5 or 6 employees, they can tell you right down to the dollar how much this employer health tax is costing them or going to cost them. And they're struggling to get by. Municipalities, we see it all the time, right? They just pass it on to us in a higher property tax increase, which again just makes life more unaffordable. So this is bad tax policy. You know, the NDP rushed it in, didn't wait until their experts were done to talk about how to handle getting rid of the medical services premium. And this year they're actually double dipping where, you know, if you're already paying MSP, you're paying that. My family's crazy, right? Like, so I pay the MSP. So I'm paying MSP for my wife and I and our 3 kids. My boss is now paying the employer health tax off for us. My wife's boss is paying the employer health tax, and I'm paying for my, you know, a property tax increase in the township of Langley to help cover their employer health tax. So we're actually paying 4 times the same tax. It's crazy tax policy, and the NDP should really rethink it.
Free MRIs for everyone.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that would be great. Like, if the outcome was like, all of a sudden, oh, right, free MRIs for everyone, you're feeling great, and, you know, there's no more surgical wait lists. But, you know, that's not the way it goes. It goes into general revenue. The very same thing the NDP used to, you know, whine and complain about the BC Liberals doing with the MSP tax. Oh, it goes into general revenue. It's not linked to health. Guess what? They do the exact same thing now.
We'll have more with Jordan Bateman right after this.
Hi, I'm Douglas Mason, President and CEO of Rainy Mountain Royalty Corp., RMO, on the TSX Venture Exchange. Rainy Mountain Royalty Corp. is a Canadian-based mineral exploration project generator. The company currently holds multiple property interests in Ontario with joint venture partners and is seeking further joint venture partners for other drill-ready properties in our portfolio. For more information, please visit our website at rmroyalty.com or call me at 604-922-2030.
Don't miss out. Stay informed. Receive the HowStreet.com weekly recap with thought-provoking podcasts, radio, and articles delivered to your inbox. Sign up for the HowStreet.com weekly recap on our homepage at HowStreet.com.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Jordan Bateman, Jordan, you feel there's been an important decision in the courts about the relationship between NDP Alberta and NDP British Columbia.
Yeah, Dave Eby, our crusading Attorney General, as some media outlets like to paint him, he's having a bad week. First of all, his money laundering narrative kind of took a heavy blow in the budget. Jim, you'll recall David Eby releasing videos of people packing, thousands and thousands of dollars in duffel bags and laundering money through BC casinos and coming in, and he had put a stop to it and everything was going to be great. The problem with that is we checked the BC budget, and BC Lottery Corp says that revenue last year in casinos actually went up, and it's expected to go up again. So if he's chased out all these money launderers, if this was such a huge amount of money that's affected every aspect of BC life as he claims it has, why hasn't it shown up in the income statements for BC Lottery Corp? So he was kind of taking a little bit of a beating on that. And then in court yesterday in Alberta, BC, under David Eby's leadership, had challenged an Alberta law that could have restricted the flow of oil to BC if they continued to obstruct the Trans Mountain Pipeline expansion. The problem for David Eby is he didn't do basic Civics 101 and realize that a law ain't a law until it's actually proclaimed into law. So the Alberta government passed the law in the legislature, but never sent it to never proclaimed it, never sent it to the LG in Alberta to sign into actual law. So, David Eby goes into the courts and spends several $1,000s or tens of thousands of dollars of BC money trying to fight Alberta on this, and the judge says, "What are you talking about? This isn't even a law yet. Get out of here." Very embarrassing for the Attorney General. It's basic civics. There are many laws on the books in BC that have never been actually enacted or proclaimed. It's something that he should have known much better about.
Do you think the NDP is reluctant to have a public inquiry into money laundering because John Horgan used to be a lobbyist for the gambling industry trying to put slot machines into the racetrack?
Yeah, that's part of it. Here's my theory on why there's no inquiry on money laundering. My theory is this. David Eby has mastered the usage of money laundering as the ultimate political channel changer. So whenever anything's going wrong for the NDP government, you'll notice that there's all of a sudden another press conference on money laundering, another report gets leaked, another, anti-BC Liberal thing from 5 years ago comes out, just in time to kind of get the public's attention away from whatever issue is bad for the NDP. That said, I have no doubt this week, given the bad news that that Eby has been suffering through with this court case and other things, I have no doubt that there'll probably be another leak, another big money laundering expose, no doubt helped and nudged along by the Attorney General's office as he uses it as a channel changer. If you take this to an inquiry, David Eby loses the power to use this like a channel changer anytime he wants. The information that would come out would be subject to where the inquiry went. My suspicion is it would be a lot more critical of the police and the courts than it would be of the BC Liberal government. Let's face it, cabinet ministers don't go out and arrest people. Police do. If they're not arresting people, that's on them, not on cabinet ministers or BC Liberal Party or anything like that. So I don't think he wants to do the inquiry. I don't think John Horgan wants to do the inquiry because I think they'd rather control what information goes out and be able to kind of massage who they think should be blamed for it.
Right. Every police department has a vice or fraud squad. So why weren't they?
Yeah, hey, look, he's this crusading Attorney General. We have had no arrests on money laundering. We've had no convictions for money laundering. We've had no major investigations on money laundering. Everything, there's no, the statute of limitations hasn't passed on this stuff. If it's that bad, David Eby, get out there, get some arrests, get some investigation. Like, let's see, we'll have some people in jail. Now, I know there's been, a federal court case that kind of went awry. Fine, that was one, but surely the money laundering isn't only being done by, one or two or three people. If it's as rife and as destructive to BC as David Eby likes to say, let's see it. Let's see some charges. Let's see some convictions. Until then, I'm treating Mr. Eby's attacks here with a little bit of skepticism.
Sounds like the government doesn't mind that extra cash sloshing around in BC instead of someplace else.
Well, that's the other thing, right? Like, I'm not even sure how much cash there was. I mean, the amount in the German report in gaming was something like $10 million a year over 10 years. That's not a huge economy shifting amount of money by any stretch of the imagination. So yeah, it's frustrating to me. I would just like to see if it's that bad. Let's see some charges. Let's see some investigations come to completion, not just, another little leak in order to distract people from, your own government's failings.
Well, we know the police can't catch all the bad guys with huge amounts of cash. I mean, every time they do a major drug bust, they put $1 million, $2 million in seized cash on the table. Well, there must be a lot of tables with millions of dollars of cash sitting on them somewhere in BC.
Certainly not in my house. I don't know, Jim. You got millions of dollars sitting on a table in your house.
Well, it was there yesterday, but I went down to the local casino and laundered it. Yeah,
exactly. So the logic kind of fails to line up. Now, Peter German's doing other reports. I'm not sure, frankly, that having a former senior RCMP officer write reports about other former senior RCMP officers is the fairest way to go on this. But we'll wait and see what he has to say in future reports.
Jordan, thank you so much for chatting with us.
Thanks for having me.
And congrats on all those awards.
Thanks.
My guest has been Jordan Bateman, Vice President of Communications for the Independent Contractors and Business Association. Their website, icba.ca. By the way, where can we see those award-winning videos?
icba.ca. We have a link there. Or you can go to gettoyes.ca. You can find them there as well.
Thank you again.
Thanks.
You're listening to the Goddard Report on TalkDigitalNetwork.com. Find us on Twitter at TalkDigitalNet, our YouTube channel, Talk Digital Network. If you have any questions for our guests or the show, you can send them to info@HowStreet.com. I'm Jim Goddard. Thanks for listening.
Comments made on the Goddard Report and TalkDigitalNetwork.com are an expression of opinion only. The Goddard Report is available online and mobile at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. The Goddard Report is a production of How Street Media Incorporated.